Welcome everyone to Peace Boat's Giving Tuesday event, Inspiring Action, Youth for the SDGs. My name is Emilie McGlone and I'm working as the Director of Peace Boat US here in New York City, and I will be your host today as we listen to the stories of 4 young leaders from around the world who are working towards achieving a more just and sustainable future. All of these young people have started working with us, traveling from Argentina in the city of Ushuaia, all the way through the fjords of Patagonia and traveling up to Valdivieso, Chile on board the Peace Boat. They have continued to use their skills and knowledge to engage with the SDGs in their current work. And today I would like to introduce these 4 scholars from Mexico: Silvia Cantu, Michael Valdivieso from Ecuador, Sara van Eerde from the United States, and Mareeka Dookie from St. Martin. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, are really a blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable world. They address the global challenges we face, including poverty, inequality, climate change, environmental degradation, peace, and justice. We believe that the involvement of young people is vital for the successful implementation for the SDGs. To empower these youth leaders who are already active in their own communities, to learn necessary skills and knowledge to contribute to the 2030 Agenda, Peace Boat US has developed the Youth for the UN Sustainable Development Goals program. Each year, scholarships are offered to youth from around the world to join the program held on board Peace Boat's global voyages. The scholarship program has been running since the beginning of the launch of the SDGs in 2015, providing many youth with life-changing opportunities. Peace Boat is an international organization and civil society nonprofit that works together to promote peace, sustainable development, and respect for the environment through our educational programs on board. The ship creates a neutral mobile space and enables people to engage across borders in dialogue and mutual cooperation. On board the ship, we organize lectures and workshops with guest educators around the UN Sustainable Development Goals, highlighting topics such as SDG number 4 for quality education and SDG number 14 for life below water, as we are always traveling at sea. It's important for us to talk about each of the goals and how they relate to our daily life, as well as the implementation of the SDGs in various regions of the world. Now more than ever, we realize it is necessary to reduce inequalities and work together to achieve a true sustainable development where no one is left behind. Peace Boat believes that travel in itself can also be a tool for positive social and political change. At each port of call, youth scholars have the opportunity to participate in cultural exchange and study programs that help them to learn about the local realities in each country and understand the successes as well as the challenges that communities face in achieving the SDGs. Each year, Peace Boat invites young people who are working towards sustainability to apply for the Youth for the SDGs scholarship and join us on board in different regions of the world. This photo was taken together with our partners in My World, Mexico, where we organized a beach cleanup and program about ocean conservation. Each program theme is different as we learn about the local issues in the countries that we visit. Let's watch one more short video and learn about the programs with our Youth for the SDGs scholars in Latin America before we head south to Patagonia.
Latin America right now is a region with a lot of potential. Its population is mostly young and is getting even more and more educated as time passes. In terms of infrastructure, the countries are getting even more solid, and the opportunities that we have right now are immense. Of course, we face many, many challenges, but we need to also take advantage of the opportunities. We need to give our young people the tools that they need to be able to develop in society, to be able to take a project and make it into reality.
We are very passionate. We have experience. We have this connectivity and networking site that we love and that we can use, because technology and with all this globalization, we can start working together very fast and we can achieve different and bigger goals with that.
The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals can often seem like a lofty goal and sometimes something that's a little bit out of reach for a lot of youth. But when you start to bring it down to the grassroots level and to do things that are easy to take action on in your own community, you'll realize that the SDGs are related to every single thing that you do in your life. Well, I hope this short video was able to give you an idea of what our programs for the SDGs are like on board and also in the ports of call. We aim to give our youth scholars an opportunity to learn from experts in the field while traveling on board, and also the hands-on experience that they need to learn about important global issues in the countries that we visit. Youth are able to participate in activities in each country that we visit, and depending what our local partners are working on. For example, in this program, we were in Cambodia, and we were joining a reforestation of the mangroves, working together with local fishermen to restore the coastline. In other ports of call, we might be hiking the glaciers of Ushuaia in Argentina, as some of the last pristine nature in Patagonia that is quickly disappearing due to climate change and the increase in global temperatures each year. And we often work with local community members and nonprofit organizations who are partners in the ports of call, helping us to build lasting relationships with the people that we visit. In this photo, we held a workshop in Valparaiso, Chile, with the nonprofit organization Leader of Light, which works to bring solar energy to communities in need. Our Youth for the SDGs scholars learned how to assemble these simple solar lights while on board the ship, and then they gave workshops to the community members so they could create their own lamps in an area that did not have access to electricity at night. These can be life-changing experiences for any youth, as well as for the communities that we visit. After gaining these valuable experiences and learning firsthand from experts in the field, as well as the local communities, our youth are often invited to speak at the United Nations as far as Peace Boats programs. We're here in Santiago, Chile, at the United Nations Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, CEPAL, where our youth were able to present about their experiences and their hopes for a better future. Peace Boat, as an international NGO, we hold special consultative status with the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations. And through this, we're able to participate in major conferences throughout the year at the UN headquarters here in New York City, where we also have an office in the United Nations Plaza. And we invite our Youth for the SDGs scholars to give presentations, participate in conferences, and play an active role as members of civil society, working together to achieve the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. There are so many ways that youth can get involved, and we know that the time to act is now. As we embark on the decade of action for the United Nations and the SDGs, we have just 10 years until 2030, and we encourage any youth interested to apply for next year's program. Please visit our website and learn how you can also become one of our Youth for the SDGs scholars. Peace Boat continues to sail as a flagship for the SDGs, with the logo painted on the hull of the ship since 2016 as a partnership with the UN SDG Action Campaign. And we are also working towards building a more sustainable cruise ship, which will reduce our CO2 by 40%, sailing with wind and solar power to be the real embodiment of the SDGs and the world's first eco-ship. And of course, all of these educational programs would not be possible without your generous support. On today, Giving Tuesday, please consider giving a donation to help provide scholarships for young people who are making a difference in their communities, and let's build a more sustainable future together. You can visit our website where we have our donation page. It's a landing page from the Peace Boat US site. And you can also follow us throughout the presentation to learn more about how you can donate. And with that, I would like to invite our first youth for the SDGs Scholar, who will be sharing her experience with us, not only as a participant in our program and our global voyage from Argentina to Chile, but also as an intern at the Peace Boat US office in New York and a leader in our online programming for the United Nations World Oceans Day this year. We would like to welcome Silvia Cantu from Mexico to join us here online. Hello, Silvia, welcome.
Hi, Emilie. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited to share a little bit more about my experiences and also a perfect reunion of the Peace Boat youth.
Thank you so much. It's been amazing to work with you over the year. As you know, you've just been so welcoming to the other youth scholars, as well as showing your leadership and joining all the programs. So we're looking forward to hear more about your experience.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here on this Tuesday. I want to share with you a little bit about my Peace Boat experience, like Emilie was saying, not just on the ship, but also as a summer intern and participating in so many different events. I am a political science major with a focus on environmental policy at Middlebury College, but I was born and raised in Monterrey, Mexico, and that's where I'm currently located. I am also a scuba diver and a photographer, and the reason why I am so passionate about the environment is because when I was younger, when I was in high school, I became part of a scuba diving team. And that was the first time that I got a chance to, spend time below water, seeing corals and animals like that massive jellyfish. It was a beautiful experience for me, but we also had some moments that were really difficult and painful, to be honest, when we would see environmental degradation underwater, coral bleaching, pollution. I think that's what really triggered my interest in environmental protection and to really do everything I could as a youth to get other people to care about our oceans and to really do something to protect them, even if it was just a small task or a small project. Everything counted. Next, please. Like I said, I'm also a photographer, and I started photography doing a lot of stage work, working with people, dances, theater performances, and that was a beautiful experience, and I still do it. But halfway through college, I realized that my passion was the environment, and I knew photography, so I was like, maybe I should start doing a lot more conservation photography. Started doing research on my own. I started working with mentors in my college. And that's when I realized that photography was a very powerful tool for storytelling, especially for storytelling for the environment. And not just, the beautiful landscapes and the beautiful animals, but also the people that inhabit these spaces and to really honor the way they do that. So these are some pictures from a project I had in South Africa back when I was in college. And I really just loved having that opportunity to capture the environment through my eyes, but also to tell a story about urgency and about care. Next. And all of these interest in photography came from that sense of urgency and from really wanting to protect all of our environments. And like I said, not all the photography that I was doing was, beautiful things that were pleasant to look at. I did a lot of photography also of, scenes that were painful to look at, scenes that reminded us that we still had a lot of work left to do what's needed to meet the targets that we have, to really do the work that the SDGs are guiding us to do. So I think being a photographer, it's a beautiful experience, but it can be also very difficult just because of the stories we're trying to tell. Next, please. So when I was in college, two of my friends told me about Peace Boat, about the Youth for the SDGs program. They had participated in the past, and they told me about the places they visited, the people they met, and I was just so happy. I was so surprised. I couldn't believe that such a program existed, and I kept thinking, well, I'm a photographer, I'm a scuba diver, I am really passionate about SDGs 13 and 14, climate action and life below water. So I was like, this is a perfect program for me. This is really what I want to do. And so I applied and I joined their program in the spring of 2019, which, as Emilie was describing, was a program in South America. So we started in Ushuaia, Argentina, and then we sailed all the way up to Valparaiso, Chile. And it was me and these amazing people that are here with me and other youth. And it was a perfect experience because I got to meet other people who were just as passionate about the environment, but they were also doing many different things, people in mental health, in business, entrepreneurship, in the arts. So it was everyone, we had this all these things in common, but also we had so many different skills and tools and sets of knowledge, which was a very incredible thing to experience on the ship. And in that picture at the top, I'm talking about scuba diving. I shared some experiences about being a woman in the world of scuba diving and how scuba divers are protecting their environments. Next, please. And so I want to share with you a bit of an anecdote of one of my favorite parts about the program. So when we started in Ushuaia, which is in the Patagonia. That was my first time being in the Patagonia, my first time seeing glaciers. And that on its own was already incredible. I really couldn't believe I was there. And so I know that my friends were also very, it was just an amazing experience for most of us. It was the first time seeing glaciers, being in a place like that one. This is a picture I took of Carol, which was one of the other youth for the SDGs in the program. And you can see on her face, we were just so excited to go up the glacier. It was a long hike. It was not an easy hike, but it was an amazing thing to do nonetheless. And we had community leaders with us who were guiding us all the way up to the glacier, sharing information about how the landscape had changed, about the importance of the glaciers, not just in ecosystem services, but also in the culture and the history of the people living there. So the hike on its own was a perfect way to start the program because it really got us to reflect on how we interact with the environment and also how we, more so the things we need to do to protect it. Next slide. And yeah, this is a picture of the glacier, Glaciar Marcial, which is really close to the city of Ushuaia. You can see that it has the shape of a bat. And it is a beautiful glacier, but it's been shrinking in size quite a lot, quite drastically over the past few decades. And it's still open to public. And when we went there, there were a lot of other people also going up. So it is a beautiful attraction that people love to see and a reason why so many people travel to the Patagonia. Next, please. One of the sites that was most impressive to me was when we were reaching the top. We were seeing a lot of little streams and rivers in areas where, you might have them occasionally throughout the year, but that now, they looked a lot more permanent. They were creating new ecosystems. And that was because of all the melting that was happening, which was a lot more intense and a lot more frequent and just lasting for longer periods of time. So this was a very impactful reminder of how quickly everything was changing and how urgent we needed to, the urgency of taking action. And so, like I said, it was a perfect way to start the program because it really got us to reflect on the importance of taking action right now and not just waiting for the future. Next slide. So like I said, I was part of the program in the spring of 2019. And after that, I obviously stayed in touch with the program, with Emilie, with the other youth. And I was able to participate in so many amazing events. And I just want to share some of those with you, just so you get an idea. Because the Youth for the SDGs program is not just 2 weeks on the ship, going to different ports and it's over. It's really a lifelong experience where you get to meet people and stay friends with them. I know that the other ones here too that you'll get to meet, we stayed in touch and we really love to check on each other. So it's really just something that stays with you for your entire life. And this past summer, so the summer of 2020, I joined Peaceboat as one of their summer interns. I knew that they were going to participate in the World Oceans Day of 2020 in June. And I was just really excited to be a part of that kind of event because of all the people that it gathers and because obviously it is focused on ocean conservation. So I joined Emilie and other amazing summer interns, and we worked so hard for many weeks in June and also July to plan many different events. And all of them online. And it was difficult. It was definitely challenging, but it was also very rewarding. And as you can see, a lot of the events had to use like virtual reality and Zoom. So it was something very different for me. But like I said, something that it was worth learning and that I know that it's going to be very important in the future as well. That picture at the bottom, that's me with some of the youth for the SDGs, as well as some of the Ocean and Climate Youth Ambassadors when we were participating on an event by Reach the World and the Explorers Club. And that was also in the context of the UN World Oceans Day. So we had many opportunities to share our experiences as a Peace Boat youth also during the summer. So I was doing a lot of work on the background, planning the events and working on social media, but also participated on many different talks and panels. So it was an amazing summer for me. Next slide, please. And we also had a chance to collaborate with EarthX Ocean and the EarthX Youth Reports that summer, also in the context of the UN World Oceans Day. And again, some of the youth for the SDGs and some other ambassadors were able to join me in this amazing report that EarthX did on Peace Boat. So again, we got to share our experiences, invite other youth to join. And it was an amazing platform because they really target the youth. And they also get many youth from around the world to be the reporters and to interview others. So it was, again, a perfect way to share our stories and to meet other youth who were interested in environmental conservation. Next slide, please. And also an amazing opportunity that came out of working with Peace Boat is that I was notified about the global training that the Climate Reality Project was going to have during August. And because of COVID, it happened online. And so I was, working with other summer interns. We were talking about joining. And so I signed up and I told them that I was a Peace Boat youth ambassador. And they were really excited to have me. So I took the whole training. And just last week, I was telling Emilie, I led 2 talks with little kids in elementary school about the environment. And so during these events, I obviously, share the slides of the Climate Reality Project. I talk about climate change, but I also tell them about Peace Boat and about all the amazing opportunities that I was able to have and how they can also participate in them. Next, please. And again, just this a few weeks ago, I was able to go back with EarthX to work on another report. This time I was one of the reporters and I was able to interview Keka Shambasu, the founder of the Green Hope Foundation, which is an amazing foundation working on sustainability and environmental conservation, peace, definitely an amazing foundation. So it was a great opportunity to be on the other side, now interviewing other amazing youth and also telling them about Peace Boat. Next slide, please. And finally, another event that also happened just recently was the first Latin American summit for the SOA Connect, so the Sustainable Ocean Alliance. It was a summit that was focused on the youth and all the work they do for our oceans. So I was part of a panel that was focused on youth movements in Latin America, so activism. And I was able to talk about Peace Boat, what got me into the program, and also how Latin American youth could apply and be a part of it. And it was an amazing experience because everyone was so excited about Peace Boat. Everyone wanted to participate. And I was also able to meet so many youth from the SOA network, so like all the SOA hubs around Latin America. So it was a very rewarding experience that I know will definitely strengthen our relationship with youth all across Latin America. And yeah, this is all for me. I really enjoyed the program and it was an amazing opportunity to connect with people. And so, yeah, I hope that the other youth also share beautiful experiences and that you get to connect with them as well.
Thank you so much, Silvia. That was a really great presentation. And we really look forward to also having you back on board the ship again soon. Hopefully next summer, if you visit Mexico, you can be one of our program leaders. It'd be great to have you in that capacity.
That'd be perfect.
Thank you so much. And that brings us to our next youth scholar, Michael Valdivieso from Ecuador. And I think we can bring on Michael and we'll keep Silvia here on the screen. So we'll let them join us together. And so let's welcome Michael to the screen.
Hi, Emilie. Hi, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here today. I was also part of this cohort of scholars that took part on the 100th voyage of the Peace Boat back in early 2019. And the first picture that I want to share with you, it sort of captures the essence of the trip for me. And since 2017, I've been working on my startup, Momentum Novum, on sustainable development and promoting sustainable development through helping companies and organizations include sustainability practices into their business models. And I've been constantly thinking about climate change, but I've never thought of climate change as something that is so urgent. As Silvia was saying before, when she takes pictures, she really captures that urgency, and she gets to see things that are not very nice. And in this picture, you can see we were sailing through the fjords in Patagonia, and this is the moment where I realized that climate change is not slow. And when people think that climate change is something very, very slow, I'm gonna tell them to please think again. This picture captures the amount of water that is flowing out of a melting glacier in Patagonia. And this was in the middle of January over there. And you cannot understand the amount of water that was coming out and the noise. It was a massive waterfall. And that is the moment when everything clicked for me. The sense of urgency about climate change, how we are losing this very precious and delicate ecosystems. It's simply overwhelming. Right at this moment, I realized that I had to keep pursuing the promotion of sustainable development, both in my personal and private life and in my professional life. But at the same time, I thought that it's very important to bring awareness about this. You would think that the sustainable development and the Peace Boat promoting the sustainable development goals, it's only about the environment, but there was also another experience that really changed me. And in the next picture, you'll be able to see that. The woman that you see in the middle, she's a survivor from the Hiroshima nuclear weapon that was used at the end of the Second World War in Japan. In the picture, you can see Sara, who will be talking later, and Hatsir, who unfortunately is not with us today. But this woman, Yunko Watanabe, she was very kind in sharing all of her personal story and her family story about the dangers of nuclear weapons. The Peace Boat has partnered with ICAN. ICAN won the Nobel Peace Prize a few years ago to promote the disarmament of nuclear weapons from around the world. And really listening to this woman was a life-changing moment for me, because it made me realize how humans have so much power to not only start doing wonderful things, but also stop humanity in and of itself with one bomb. So this was also a very touching moment for me during my journey on the Peace Boat. And I truly believe that if I had not been on board of the boat, I would have never had the opportunity of meeting someone that is a survivor from one of the atomic bombs that have been used, that were used during the Second World War. So that was also a very important experience for me that changed me and sort of followed through the things that I've been doing afterwards. In the following picture, you'll see something that was very important for me as well. At the end of our journey, we started in Argentina, in Ushuaia, and then we sailed all the way to Valparaiso, and then from Valparaiso, we drove to Santiago. And in Santiago, we were able to meet this high-level officials of the regional office of the Economic Commission of the United Nations there in CEPAL, and we were given the opportunity to tell them about our concerns and what we were doing towards the inclusion of youth in politics and sustainable development. And the most important thing was that this was not just a one-way speech. This was actually a conversation between them and us, and them sharing with us how the United Nations are working to include youth in the promotion of the SDGs, but also taking on the ideas and the reality that we were sharing with them. And they were equipping us with skills and knowledge that they requested us to later take onto our own cities and countries and communities. So this was another key moment for me while I was on board of the Peace Boat. And in the last picture, you'll see that, in the next picture, sorry, you'll see another moment. A few days ago, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was asking me, he was telling me that this professional coach had asked him to share 5 pictures that have changed his life. And this is one of them. What you are seeing on screen right now are solar-powered lights that we were learning how to build on board of the boat. This is the moment where I discovered something that I had never known it would be possible for me to do, and it's solar panel lights. I'm not an engineer, and on this opportunity, I was able to build my first solar power lamp, and I was trained by the founder of Leader of Light, who was the partner of the 100th voyage of the Peace Boat. And we were going to deliver this, they were going to deliver this lamps in Easter Island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean to people who don't have access to electricity. But also this gave us the opportunity of running 2 workshops in Valparaiso to people that don't have access to electricity either. And I was in charge of helping 2 women who were around in their late 70s and teaching them about how to use a welding iron and how to assemble these lights, and sort of seeing their faces while they were discovering this was fascinating. And the most touching moment about this was when they clicked the switch and the light went on. They were filled with joy because they were now able to have life in their homes at night, because previously they didn't have electricity. This is something that really stayed with me. And after the Peace Boat, I came back to Ecuador, and I started Leader of Light Ecuador with a group of friends. And in the picture on the left, you see all the technical parts of the lamp that go inside. In the picture in the middle, you see all the white dots on the right part of the picture. Those are new street lights that we implemented in a community in the southwest of Quito. They live right on the edge of the city, and they don't have access to electricity. We also did another implementation in a coastal area of Ecuador. So in total, we've delivered 50 public solar lights for the community of Ecuador. And it's not just that we go there and put the light and then we leave, but we actually do work with the community. We try to connect with them, learn about their needs. And in the picture on the right, you will be able to see that there's some kids doing some drawings. We did a drawing workshop with them. And if you see very closely, the little girl over there is drawing the sun, and to the left of the sun, you can see a solar light, and that's part of now the way that they live. And then in the next picture, you'll see how the Peace Boat I've been connected to the Peace Boat. A few months ago, I launched a podcast on international politics here in Ecuador with a few students of mine. Among the things that I do, I'm also a university teacher, and I teach international negotiation at a local university over here. And with some of my students, I decided to start a podcast on public affairs, international affairs, and politics, but in Spanish, because the knowledge that's being developed around politics, it's usually in English. And so we found a need, and we are trying to fulfill that market need with our podcast. And in one of the special episodes, we were able to invite Emilie and Silvia, who are here today, and Eduardo del Pozo, who was the youngest vice mayor of Quito, the city I live in, to discuss the role of youth in politics and sustainable development, how institutions affect how youth can have access to politics, and how youth can affect those institutions to actually have more access. So that is my experience with Peace Boat, and I am very grateful for the opportunity that I had last year to be a part of it. And I hope more young people get the opportunity of going on board of the Peace Boat and taking advantage of all the knowledge that is out there and the people that you get to meet.
Thank you so much, Michael. And it's really incredible to see how you've taken the knowledge and skills that you gained, not only on the Peace Boat during our educational programs, for example, with Leader of Light, but the practical skills of actually constructing the lights themselves and then creating Leader of Light Ecuador. I'm just so proud of you and all of your continued work. So thank you for being with us here today. And I look forward to your next podcast or Podercast in the future, and seeing what we can do with our next group of Youth for the SDGs. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye to Silvia and welcome our next guest speaker. Bye, Silvia. And welcome in Sara van Eerde. Sara has also been a leader not only in Peace Boat, but also with the organization Global Kids, where she works in New York City. So please welcome Sara, and Michael will leave you two together on the stage.
Thank you so much, Emilie and Michael and Silvia. It's so wonderful to hear about your stories right now and see what's going on. We all were on the boat together in 2019, so about 2 years ago now, and it really is amazing to just see how we've all been working towards our passions still. So I'm really excited to talk to you all today. Thank you for being here. I'm a mental health professional and I work for Global Kids, so I would love to share a little bit about my story first and explain how I even came to be on the life-changing experience for myself, which was Peace Boat. So as you can see here, I'm a rock climber. Ever since I was little, I love rock climbing, I love nature, I love the ocean, and I didn't even know it needed to be protected, but I just knew that there was something very powerful and very restorative about nature. So it was a huge part of my upbringing. I always kind of looked to it to heal. Again, as a mental health person, I went to school for psychology at first, so I was very interested in how to heal from the inside out, and nature was always a key element of that. And after I majored in psychology, I got my master's in social work at NYU, and that gave me the opportunity to study abroad in Buenos Aires, Argentina, which was my first, but luckily not my last time being there. And I got to go to Patagonia, where I saw the Perito Moreno glacier up close. It was my first time seeing a glacier. It was stunning. I highly recommend seeing a glacier if you haven't. It was so beautiful, and it was really touching for me to see how different passions are manifesting throughout the world. So the political arena in Argentina obviously looks very different than in the United States, and the social work looks very different, but it was really important for me to have that experience. It gave me a much more global perspective. Next slide, please. And that is ultimately how I found my job that I have right now. In 2017, I was hired at Global Kids, which is a premier nonprofit in New York City. This year, we actually won the overall Best Management for Nonprofit Award. So I'm really proud of that. And with Global Kids, we do a lot of activating youth. So we work on how to get people involved in social justice issues. And as you can see here, there's a photo that we are doing an event for climate change. That sign says the future is listening. And also doing some rallies, doing some marches and protests. Being an activist and learning how to do that is a big piece of Global Kids. So if you want to learn a little bit more about us, I can show you on the next slide. Again, we offer a lot of kind of community support. And so my job primarily is I work in a school in Queens, and I lead an after-school program called the Human Rights Activist Project, where we come together and we figure out what things we can do on the ground locally in New York, but also thinking globally. And I also started a Queer Alliance group. The high school did not have any LGBTQ support group, so I spearheaded that and built a community there. And then we do a whole range of other things as well. We give free glasses to students who might not be doing well in school because they can't see. We offer mental health support. So there's a lot of things we do. And as you would not be surprised, Global Kids is a partner of Peace Boat. They have very similar missions, and we work together a lot, which I'm very grateful for. So this is another photo of us in Brooklyn. We were marching across Brooklyn Bridge, rallying against the Williams pipeline, which was going to be put in from Pennsylvania through New York to New Jersey, and it would have caused severe damage and putting our water health at risk. So we were trying to show our resistance towards that. And there's a huge show up that day. A lot of people were there, and they finally did ultimately reject the Williams pipeline, and that was a huge win. And I think wins are really important in this work. So. And then I found out about Peace Boat. The scholarship specifically was told to me through my executive director at Global Kids. And I love the Sustainable Development Goals. I have all of the Sustainable Development Goals in my apartment. So I think about them often whenever I look at them. And I was specifically focused on gender equality and quality education. And so I applied, and I was lucky enough to be one of the recipients. And it was honestly the sailing of a lifetime. We again started in Ushuaia, like Michael and Silvia said. We got to see an amazing glacier also up close, but also how much it was receding. I think the hike was a lot harder because it was so much further out. And that was a really eye-opening way to start the trip. And also we were all meeting each other for the first time. All 7 scholars met each other in Ushuaia and then embarked on this incredible 10-day journey together. And this was the way that the ship welcomed us. It was such a welcoming environment where people would just come up to us and start conversation, ask us why we were there. It was really important in my journey of finding my own voice. And you can see in the next slide as well that we were able to get together and promote the Sustainable Development Goals to focus on ship. And we were able to lead workshops and talk about why these issues are important. So this was a moment where I really had to be brave, and as we all were, we all had our own individual presentation where we talked about why we cared. And I think ultimately what happened for me was I found my voice in Peace Boat. I really didn't, I had it of course, and I didn't know where it was, but then we had to go on stage and talk, and I realized I had it the whole time. And that was a really key moment for me in my kind of activism process and gaining that courage. Another thing we did on board was we held a petition to see if people could sign for making the Chilean side of Patagonia a World Heritage Site, which would offer a lot of kind of safety and protection. And then if you go to the next slide, please. We also got to see, meet the captain of the ship and see what the ocean looked like through the binoculars, and that was incredible. There was so many people working together to make Peace Boat happen, and so much gratitude for meeting all of those people that truly made this experience possible and keeping us all safe on board with minimal queasiness. And then we landed in Valparaiso, Chile, where, as Michael said so well, we were able to do incredible workshops with Leader of Light and offering light to communities that didn't have access to electricity. So here I was talking to a Chilean journalist, trying my best in Spanish to explain what we were doing. And then we got to, in the next photo you can see, we got to actually install the lights and work on kind of teaching the youth around there what we were doing and why it was important. And just connecting with those community members really was an impactful moment. And then, yes, Michael said, as we went to the CEPAL in Santiago, we drove there, and it was really nice to be on wheels again. And we were able to talk to the people at CEPAL about what we were doing and why it mattered and why bringing youth into the conversation is so necessary. Next slide, please. And then when I went back to New York City, I had the opportunity to share my experience at CETAN, which is the Committee on Teaching about the United Nations. So talking to educators in the room about why we need to mobilize and get together. And this is an urgent matter, and we do need hope, and we need strategic optimism when it comes to these issues. But we do also need to kind of make direct impact work happen. And so it was really wonderful to get to share that experience there. And then if you go to the next slide, you can see that I got to see Peace Boat one more time as a dock in New York City on World Oceans Day, where again, there was an amazing event on board where a lot of people that are passionate about the ocean and the Sustainable Development Goals got to come together and share ideas. And I just wanted to leave you with a poem that I wrote when I got back from Peace Boat. I was so excited, and I ultimately was just so grateful that I got to meet people from around the world that I hope I would have met otherwise, but I don't know if I would have. And I decided to write a poem with all 17 Sustainable Development Goals in them. I will not do the entire poem, it takes about 6 minutes, but I just figured I would read to you the part about life below water. I dream of a world that is focused on healing our planet, our animals, ourselves, and each other. I dream we remember we belong to the earth, that we still cry the ocean's language, that we were life below water. I dream of a world that is blue from the ocean regaining the colors in her cheeks, her coral coming back to life, her lungs free of plastic, her fish flourishing, her dolphins roaming free. She is there for us to believe in, to dance amidst her swaying tides. She has everything to teach us about patience. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sara, for joining us again today. And it's been such a pleasure, not only working with Global Kids, which is a fantastic organization in New York City, reaching youth all across all 5 boroughs and after-school programs and teaching them how to become global citizens, but also just working with you on a personal level and getting to see how your skills and knowledge, again, that you learned on Peace Boat have also been used throughout this last year. So really excited to have you with us here again today. And thank you so much for this beautiful poem. Thank you. So we're going to bring on next one of our last speakers for today, Mareeka Dookie, who is from St. Martin and also from Trinidad and Tobago. So we'll add her to the screen here, and Sara will let you go, and Michael as well. And we're going to bring back our guest, Silvia, to join Mareeka here on stage. Mareeka, thank you for joining us.
Emilie, thank you so much for this amazing opportunity, and hello to all of our Peace Boat amazing youth for the SDG scholars. This is my presentation on sort of the before, during, and after of my Peace Boat experience. And I'm going to share with you sort of what these pictures represent, but also just to give a little background. As Emilie said, I am from Trinidad and Tobago, born and well, I wouldn't say raised, but I did move to St. Martin when I was about 5. And I spent the majority of my childhood on St. Martin, which is quite an interesting island. So if you've ever visited the Caribbean, I would say visit St. Martin because there's just so many different things happening on this little island. We are actually 2 different governing bodies going on, where we have France and the Netherlands, but the Dutch side of the island is actually an autonomous country within the Netherlands kingdom. So it gets very, very interesting. But one of the biggest things here is that the Caribbean is small in terms of size, in terms of population, in terms of what we have. But in general, we have quite a lot, and a lot of people don't realize that, but we have huge ecosystems, we have huge bodies of water, and we have a lot of life going on in the Caribbean. So we're very lively. But unfortunately, despite everything, we are actually on the front lines of climate change. Even if we didn't add as much to the pollution and all the different negative things that are going on in the world, we have to sort of be prepared first to handle all of the different disasters that are happening. So these pictures sort of highlight that. And as you can see, St. Martin got super devastated in 2017 by Hurricane Irma, and Maria also passed through. St. Martin's not the only island. And then of course, the years that came after that also showed how these storms intensified. Even this hurricane season was quite intense, where there were so many hurricanes and activities going on in the Caribbean. So I've done a lot of work volunteering, doing different missions. A lot of my work before Peace Boat was recovery efforts. I worked with UNICEF Nederland, working on recovery efforts in the schools, disaster risk reduction, the Safe Schools program. And I also work with environmental protection in the Caribbean, where we focus on beach cleanups, environmental education. So really and truly, one of a Spanish and American philosopher, George Santayana, he stated that the great difficulty of education is to get experience out of ideas. And that statement really hit me because my journey as a youth scholar for the SDGs really highlighted that launch for myself to get out into the world and to really take my opportunities, take the ideas that I have and turn them into experiences and turn them into a reality. And so all of the work that I was doing, I didn't find a clear path until I sort of got myself involved in Peace Boat and started to collaborate and really throw myself and my ideas out there and just start. You just have to start somewhere. So Peace Boat was a great launching pad for me. And so I've always loved education. So quality education was what I focused on. But then I realized that the SDGs are just so much more than just one thing that you're passionate about, because at the end of the day, the SDGs highlight everything about life that's all around you. So meeting all these scholars on this journey was amazing. I got sponsored by SXM Festival, which is a festival on St. Martin that also is trying to limit the footprints that we leave behind. And they sent 2 of us, so myself from the Dutch side and Donovan Tremmer, who's from the French side. He's not with us today, but we were able to go on this journey together, and we met Silvia and Michael and Sara, and it was one of the most amazing experiences that I've ever had. Some of the things that we did really just stood out to me, gave me that voice, like my colleague said. You were put on the spot. You had to get up there and you had to just throw it out and say, what are you going to do? What's your plan? What are you passionate about? So we had a lot of opportunities to really get our voices out there. And then we really saw how people were tackling their issues in their own specific countries or their own problems from abroad when you spoke to people. So Peace Boat is a great platform for you to just engage in dialogue all over the world. I also had my camera, just like Silvia, I love photography, but I also had my camera and I put it down after studying, and I was so disappointed in myself for putting it down. And during my journey on Peace Boat, I picked it up again and I was able to take that beautiful mountain shot that you see over there on the corner. And then, of course, there was just so many activities going on. And one of them right there is the Voyage of Light, where we were able to use a soldering gun for the first time and put solar panels together and lights and feel like you're some sort of electrical engineer just for like a couple minutes. And then, of course, going into the community to teach people who really need this, who really need light, who really need these kinds of resources. Being able to use education for social impact is really huge. And so I really appreciated this opportunity that I had. And so from this goes on to what happens next in my life. And Peace Boat really isn't just a 2-week program. It is lifelong, as my scholars also said. So in this photo, you'll see 3 awesome opportunities that I had after Peace Boat. The first one was my short-term goal, which you see all these crazy people standing up there on the street with these colorful costumes. We upcycled. And we had so much fun celebrating our cultural expression of Carnival, but doing it in a very environmentally friendly kind of way. So we created all our costumes and we enjoyed every moment of it, despite it being very hard work, but we loved it. And we really celebrated how much, and we tried to do it again this year, but of course with COVID, it sort of just didn't work out. But yeah, and then you also see me standing in front of the United Nations headquarters in New York. I became one of the 100 green ticket recipients for the first ever U Climate Summit. And I got to see Emilie. So that was really fun to just see her in work and me just learning about the United Nations, learning about all the possibilities, and actually meeting groups from Youngo and different organizations and just getting engaged even further. So I found even more friends after Peace Boat, and we just became like business partners in a sense, where we're just collaborating and finding ways to continue. And then last but not least, Overview Collective is actually a very interesting, or I should say maybe the better word is innovative. They're innovative in their approach to education, basically. And it's something that I'm very excited about because they do different things with digital media campaigns and XR content production. So we were able to collaborate with them, and they featured me on their stories Future Ocean Innovation during a World Ocean Day. And we highlighted some of the work that I did, and they created this awesome video. So if ever you want to see it, just look out for my Facebook page or anything like that, and you'll find it. But it just featured Upcycling Carnival, and it connected me with a group that also did some eco-fashion things in Kenya. So it's just, Peace Boat is just one of the most amazing platforms, safe way to do some experiential education, and just like myself, maybe it'll help you launch yourself out there and tackle things that you see as issues or ideas that you have that you want to bring to light. So I'm super excited, and I hope on this Giving Tuesday you can definitely support Peace Boat and all the youth around the world who should engage in this opportunity as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mareeka. It's been a pleasure having you on board with us, and of course, having you join the Youth Climate Summit at the United Nations headquarters with us here in New York, and coming back to remember how important it is to tackle these environmental challenges in the Caribbean. We know that there's so many challenges with natural disasters and the hurricanes, and of course, all of the plastic pollution and waste that you mentioned as well. So we really appreciate your innovative and creative ideas, which will continue to feature throughout. And thanks again to SXM Festival as well for supporting your scholarship. It's been a pleasure to work with Julian Prince and the entire team as they're looking to make a positive difference in St. Martin and continue supporting local youth to raise awareness for the SDGs on a global scale. So it's great to have you with us. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. So that's leading to the end of our program here. We are just about to wrap up with the closing for our Giving Tuesday. But before we go, I want to remind everyone that you can donate here online to support our Youth for the SDGs Scholarship. I hope that you've heard from our 4 scholars today and were inspired by their stories, and that you will be able to support us this year more than ever. It's been very challenging for many nonprofits around the world, and also for young people. I think it's just really important that we support them economically, to be able to have these experiences, to travel in a safe environment, which is the Peace Boat, and learn from our experts in the field as well as our local partners. So if you can, please do donate. Every little bit can make a difference for Giving Tuesday and for our Youth for the SDGs Scholarship Program. I'd also like to mention that some of our youth have some gifts for you, and since we have here Mareeka and Silvia on the stage, and we can bring back Michael really quickly as well. We have printout of some of Silvia's photos. I don't know, Silvia, if you want to talk a little bit about these. I know you want to give these away. And maybe we can bring back Sara for just 1 second. She can say it like one closing word. Also, I have some printout of Silvia's photos that she's taken throughout the voyages. And each youth has something that they want to give. So let's start with Sara. You can go ahead and tell everybody what you would like to give as your gift for anybody who donates watching here online today or this week. I think
there you go. Hello. Anyone who donates online or this week will get a song from me. I'm a singer. One of my dreams was always to be a wedding singer. So that's something that I love to do in addition to activism. So if you would like a song, donate this week.
Thank you so much, Sara. And thank you for being with us here today. It was a pleasure to have you join us online. Thank you. And Michael, would you like to go next?
If you donate today or this week, you'll get a 3-hour workshop on negotiation skills. So please donate.
Thank you. And I know Michael is very good at negotiation. We've seen it on board and also in his programs at the university and with other Youth for the SDGs scholars. So if you donate, you can have a private session with Michael, 3 hours learning about negotiation. Thank you, Michael. And Silvia?
Sure. If you donate today or this week, you will get some postcards of some of the photography I did on the trip, and also just photos I've taken all around the world that focus on the environment. So donate and get those pictures. Yeah, they're really pretty.
It's true. We have a beautiful collection here of these postcard-sized photos from Silvia and other photographers within the Peace Boat. So we really hope that you can donate and receive these postcard sets in the mail. And Mareeka?
All right, so here's a good one. If you donate today, you will get a 45 introductory Spanish lesson. Da-da-da!
Muy bien. It's so important, right? Languages are very useful on board the ship as well as around the world. I think communication is one of the most important things, especially nowadays. Absolutely. So that would be perfect. Thank you so much for offering, all of you, for donating your time and talent and for being here today. And just to wrap up, we're going to have a couple of Q&A session here with our youth. We don't have so much time, but we'd like to just go into a couple of questions that we had and have a few last comments. So I'll bring into the Q&A, and the first one is going to be for Michael. Let's see. It says here, Michael, how was your experience, and how has a scholarship program helped you in your professional life today?
That's a very interesting question. As I shared with you while during the talk, I brought knowledge on Leader of Light to Ecuador. We implemented the project over here, and that's sort of something very direct that has affected the things that I do. But more than that has also been the richness of different perspectives and different ways in which you can work in favor of sustainable development. Learning about ocean cleanups, learning about the restoring the beaches, biodiversity, and everything. So I think that diversity of perspectives, knowledge, and experiences has been very enriching for me to see the world in a different way.
Okay, thank you so much. And I can definitely see how you've been impacted from the scholarship program and continuing to share that. So your professional growth also, and where you've taken your career, has been really exciting for us to watch as colleagues and friends of yours. So thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, and the next question we have here is for Mareeka. So Mareeka, they're asking, what was it like to join the Youth Climate Summit at the United Nations headquarters?
Oh, that was an amazing experience. When I saw the email when it was like, congratulations, and I was like, no, this is a dream, there's no way. It happened very quickly, and when I got there, it was one of the most amazing experiences in the sense that you were able to engage in discussions directly with decision makers who are in the field, and you're able to pose your questions and able to just be a part of the bigger decisions that go on in the world. So I really was happy to be able to experience that, and you just see everything come to life at the UN headquarters in New York. So it was really needed for me to be able to make those connections, to really advocate for the Caribbean and also just youth in general, to have those experiences and meet other like-minded youth who are also doing all sorts of fun and engaging things in their communities. And that's really how you build partnerships for the goals. So I couldn't be happier to have experienced that.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really great to have you here. And like you said, it's important for young people, especially from the Caribbean, and as we know, from small island developing states or large ocean nations, to come and share their stories, especially as they're really on the front lines of climate change and ocean degradation. So we really hope that you'll continue to be a voice for island nations and to join us here, whether it's in New York or online for our programs. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we have one more question here for Silvia. So we'd like to ask Silvia, what do you feel you learned the most from Peace Boat during the United Nations World Oceans Week?
Oh, that's a great question. I think, well, one of the most amazing things about this World Oceans Week this summer was that everything was online. So like I said, it was a challenge, but I think I learned so much about people's adaptability and willingness to try something new. And I think just seeing all the people working for Peace Boat, all the interns, all the youth ambassadors, just seeing how they were so ready to join whatever, no matter the platform, and no matter if it was the first time they were trying it, just seeing how people just wanted to help and wanted to share and wanted to make the event more accessible. I think that was very important for me. And also just thinking of that kind of event, seeing how now people had to join from their houses, they were not traveling, just thinking of how so many events can now adopt these kinds of technologies and be not just more accessible, but also like more environmentally friendly. I think it was amazing to learn how to do that and to see all the team at Peace Boat and the UN World Oceans Week innovate in that sense. I think it was a beautiful learning experience for me. I had to learn a lot about social media and Zoom and many different platforms for online communication. And that was just incredibly important for all the work I do as an activist, and hopefully in the coming years, just helping to make those events even more accessible, even more dynamic. So yeah, it was just really learning from the people that were part of the project as well.
Thank you. And it's true. I think we all have gone through a major learning process, whether we're organizers of these events online or youth participating in the events as speakers. During this time when everything is moved to a digital platform, there's a lot of learning curve. And I think you've all done very well in joining us. And that is exactly why you're here with us here today online. So very happy to have you all here. Thank you so much once again for joining us. And I would just like to encourage everyone to please donate to our Youth for the SDGs Scholarship Program via our website. It's important that we have everyone's support and that we can continue to provide these scholarships and create life-changing experiences for all of the young people around the world who are interested in joining us on board. And then we would like to invite everyone to take a look at our website. We have our next global voyages coming up in the spring and summer. If you are interested to join us on board as a Youth for the SDG Scholar yourself, please get in touch with us. You can always write to us on our website. There's many contact forms there available, as well as application forms. We have volunteer opportunities with Peace Boat apart from this Youth for the SDGs program, and we just encourage everyone to get involved. So thank you so much for joining us here today on Giving Tuesday, and thank you to all of our youth scholars for your fantastic presentations. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And here we'll be wrapping up our event today, and we hope that you will join us again soon for our next event. Thank you so much.
Excellent.
Bye-bye.